Price of Jeff Hurst, the Trevor Brooking and Billy Bonds, Paolo Di Canio, West Ham United. We celebrate our victories, we stick together in defeat. I'm proud of our history, West Ham United, more than just a podcast, more than just a podcast.
Good evening, good morning, or good afternoon. This is More Than Just a Podcast. Season 13, episode 35, and no, episode 33 is still lost. It was not deleted, didn't contain anything of any badness. It was a technical issue on my new Mac. And look, a little tip, as I just said off air to John and Nigel, don't do an update during a podcast, right? Tip number one. So I won't. And I'll be saving this throughout the podcast in case, once bitten, twice shy and everything.
Is that a new nickname for you?
What's that? Once bitten, twice shy?
No, tip number one.
Tip.
Oh, tip. Sorry, missed that.
Anyway, two of us tonight. No Canning Townlend. Basically, he said, I've had enough of West Ham. I'm going out. So there you go. Fair enough. I think we all feel that way, Mo. There's three of us tonight. Johnny B, where are you? What are you doing?
I'm at home talking to yous.
Nigel K. I don't think what your name. Nigel K. What are you? Where are you? What are you doing?
I'm in my shed.
Shedman.
Let George have his 4-5p in rights. Anyway, we're here to talk about football and another loss. What, another one? Yeah, another one. Let's go straight into it because it's the elephant in the room. Let's go straight into it. I don't think any of us were there from what I remember. John.
Hello.
Did you watch it? Let's get out first. Did you watch it?
I did watch it. Yes, I did.
Did you wish you hadn't watched it?
No, not really. It was,
David Moyes.
I was happy to watch it.
Post-match, David Moyes said it was close, very, very close. He said it was a tight game. The players showed good spirit and endeavour. Discuss.
Well, yeah, I mean, they played better than they did against Arsenal, but then we weren't playing against a really, really extraordinarily good team, like Moyes said, against Arsenal. So you'd like to think that we were going to play better. We started all right. We looked like there was a bit more about us, but then it all fell apart, didn't it? We capitulated. And yeah.
Do you blame Calvin Phillips?
No, I don't blame Calvin Phillips. No, I don't think it. I mean, the first yellow was just stupid, but the second yellow, I don't think was a yellow really.
Yeah,
so I think the
right.
ref
Well,
wasn't
as you say,
good.
Started all right. Holding our own. 9 seconds of the first half, 5 minutes added time or 6 minutes added time, and we concede right before half time.
It was a good goal, but then the defenders were pretty. But
it was coming though, wasn't it?
It was coming. I mean, they were better on the ball than us. They were better. I mean, if they could have finished better, it would have been a higher score. And Areola hadn't. Areola made 3 or 4 saves that would have definitely led to goals.
And I suppose it doesn't make a lot of difference, but the 2-0 maybe flattered them because obviously the last goal came in again injury time, 94 minutes. So after 4 minutes of added time at the end of the game, they scored again, but the game was over by then.
Yeah, I mean we didn't really look like we were going to score, and I think their shout for a penalty was a penalty. I think Cornet did stamp on his foot enough in the box to be given a penalty.
Yeah, I looked at it though, didn't
I was expecting it to be given.
Yeah, so was I.
I think we
we
were lucky to come out of it 2-0.
But I'm going to ask you the main question of tonight.
Mm-hmm.
If you were there, John.
If I was there.
If you were there at the City grounds.
Yeah.
Would you have lifted up? If someone had given you and go, here's a banner saying Moyes out or whatever, would you have partaken in that protest?
I don't know, quite possibly. I was certainly in middle and centre at the Burnley thing, so I don't
Yeah.
know. Quite
Okay.
possibly.
All right. Let's move on to Nigel. Welcome. Let's go. Let's do a bit of a stat attack, young Nigel. You ready for this?
Yeah.
So, I've just got to get it back on. There it is. Nottingham Forest at home at the City Ground, 48%. West Ham, 52%. So we had more of the ball than Forest. They had 19 shots, 8 of which were on target. We had 10 shots, only 3 were on target. They had 5 corners to our 3. We fouled 15 times to their 13. Dirty West Ham. Where did it all go wrong, Nigel?
Oh, ooh. That's a tough question, isn't it? How far back do you want to go?
Well, you can go back as we're all night. You can go
Well,
back as
if you
far as you
believe
want.
some people, it was 2019.
Well, yeah.
But
Is
still,
it true, by the way? You never answered my question. Someone on Twitter was saying there were Lyle out banners at a West Ham game
yeah, there was
during his reign. I couldn't find a photo
Yeah.
of it, but
No, well, luckily in the 1980s, it wasn't really.
he wouldn't have survived social media, would he? Probably Lyle and Green.
Well, I'm not. Would he have survived social media? I don't think he would. If you look when his first seasons at the club, he had 4 seasons from 75 to 74, 75 when he took over as first team manager.
Yeah.
Even though John Greenwood was still the club manager, buying players until 77, 78. I don't think he finished above 15th.
Yeah.
So, but in that period, we went to an FA Cup final and won it. We went to a European Cup final and lost it. But then that sort of really nosedived. I mean, we avoided relegation by a couple of points in 77 and went through the trapdoor in 78.
Yeah.
He then spent 3 years in Division 2. Would he have survived not coming straight back up in the first season?
None of these polls were they in those days?
Who
So,
did a poll?
yeah. So it's hard to judge criteria because I suppose we viewed football differently then. Plus, also, a big thing between now and that is the only people who knew how bad we were the people that A, went to the game or B, caught 20 minutes on the big match or match of the day.
No wall-to-wall coverage where the goals are available 15 minutes after full time everywhere on YouTube, on Twitter, everywhere.
So that's also the variable of like people that weren't enjoying us in the the first division or second division as it was, weren't also having to not enjoy going to their local pubs and not going to their local areas and
it was a different. I'm not saying it was more acceptable, but I mean, if you look back at the Liverpool game where we lose 2-0 and get relegated, and it's on YouTube, and you can see the fan reaction. Yeah, Liverpool didn't win the title that year. I think it was Forest, but they were about to win the European Cup for the second year running. So they were a bloody, one of the best teams going. We'd lost 2-0. We're relegated, and the fans stayed behind to cheer the West Ham players.
Yeah.
That ain't in '89.
Anyway,
we didn't do that.
Thanks for the history lesson. Let's bring it back to the modern day.
You asked.
I know I did ask, and I'm regretting it now. Obviously, we had who did we have starting? Areola, Soufal, Zuma, Agur, Emerson, Phillips, Alvarez, Bowen, Ward-Prowse, Kudos, and of course Mikel Antonio, our saviour, who started the match. Johnson came on. Cornet came on for Antonio on 75. Johnson came on for Soufal on 76. Suchek, of course, came on for Emerson on 83, and finally Ings on 93 minutes came on for Zuma. Yeah, just before we conceded a goal. I asked you, right, without going back to 2019, where did it go wrong? Was it the setup? Was it the tactics? Or was it just Forest were too good for us at the City Ground?
Combination of all, in my opinion. We know what the tactics are. Funny enough, I'm guessing so did Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure that away games, it's a different criteria, isn't it? It's more on the home team to come at you, more on the away team to, I don't know, sometimes I think West Ham fans think that, we should go to away games and just carry on the same way. It never used to be that way. I don't know why people think that, but
I don't think the majority do.
No, but I don't. The funny thing is, if you take the 2 goals out, which is mad, really, because it is football, and the idea of football is scoring goals. I don't think the performance was that bad, but it highlights some severe deficiencies in the makeup of the squad and the way that we play. I've seen some things, read some things, and I think, well, actually, it is quite true in that, I can throw out any stat to say why Moyes should stay. I could probably throw out loads of stats as to why he should go. But we're not playing the football that we played in 21 or in 22. Moyes, as West Ham, has regressed.
We're playing the league form last season, weren't we?
Yeah, it's and the funny thing is, I don't know. At the moment, I'd say the football's worse than last season. The Bournemouth game bored me. I said it at the time. I sat there and it bored the life out of me. The Arsenal game, I don't know how to describe that realistically. The worst home defeat in 60 odd years. And then the Forest game, I expected something a bit better. When you look at Antonio, and there's a bit of me, do I cut him slack because it was his first game back after injury? Or when a man goes on a podcast and absolutely slates strikers at other clubs to then
gets through on goal
one-on-one, allows the defender to get back at him and then has the ball nicked off of him without getting a shot in. And the weird thing is the nearer you get the goal, sometimes the less chance you have of scoring, more chance the goalkeeper had. The ones I hated were the ones that shot early, because invariably they went in. Because as a keeper's always taught, you come out, narrow the angle, and the defender got back and got in front of him to nick the ball away. So, plus we're relying on a 34-year-old striker still to carry us. When I think 2 years ago, a lot of people, I think even me, was saying, can't really carry on, can it?
Well, Moyes has admitted, not so much a striker, but we're missing one player. Our whole team seems to have collapsed. Paquetá. He said, I don't want to hang it on one player, but he then proceeded to say, all that creativity. Kudos doesn't look like the player he was without Paquetá. Bowen doesn't look, and it now appears, whether this is just perception or not, Paquetá is that key playmaker that makes the team look so well. And without him, it's just not working for us.
Yeah, the funny thing is people will go, you see people, general people on Twitter accounts, the thing with Twitter now is you don't have to follow people and you get to read what they say.
Yeah.
Which makes the whole idea of following people a bit bonkers, in my opinion. But you'll see them say, we're a one-man team and everything. And you're thinking, well, a lot of the time West Ham are a one-man team. Especially like recently, Payet,
creativity, right?
Yeah, but we're the type of club, if we've got a creative player and we lose him, it is really going to affect us. Shouldn't affect us the amount it's had, and I think with Moyes' press conferences are a bit strange.
All right. You've brought that up, and I am going to ask you the same question I asked John, which is, if you were there, would you have held up? You're there in the moment.
Not. No,
I know you. Yeah, you wouldn't have done that. But that's
no,
fair enough. Look, I'm not chastising the people who did, because I think it's democratic right to do what you want to do, right? And people shouldn't.
It's a shift, I suppose, in my way of thinking as well, because the one thing I've always said is,
it's a bit recycling. It's the same bloody thing that they made, isn't it?
It's
the
Moyes
same.
out. No, it's not. It's that Moyes out was a social media thing, and it was. It was a social media thing. Well, it ain't now, is it? Because it weren't two geezers, it weren't three geezers, it was quite a lot of people.
Well, it was 20 or 30.
Yeah, no, but the word there, you speak to lots of Dodsey saying that there's been a sea change in there.
You can see that.
Yeah, but everybody knew it was planned because, Len was telling me beforehand.
You're saying there's been a sea change within the away support.
Yeah, definitely.
I get that.
I think it's tipped. I think the balance has now swayed, but at the end of the day, after 8 games without winning, the funny thing is that Nottingham Forest were in a poor run of form, the same as West Ham this year, except they'd won 1 game.
Yeah,
they'd beat Bristol City, we didn't, and therein lies a story there.
Yeah. By the way, I've just saved the first 16 minutes, so it's in the can, right? It's in the bag.
But it's just, there is a sea change. The fans and the match-going fans now or especially the away fans, have had enough.
Well, that's a nice little link into the poll I did with 8,000, and people have asked me
what my poll, you mean?
It's your poll. I was about to say it's your
my poll. I put in WhatsApp for like a group.
So a lot of people, just to put it on the record, because a lot of people go, "Did Sullivan ask you to write that?" No, he didn't. Actually,
no, you nicked it.
I nicked it, and I said in the WhatsApp. So Nigel put this in our WhatsApp group, right, with about 10 people, and I said, I'm going to put that on Twitter. So I asked the same questions, the 4 options that Nigel asked. So it's Nigel's poll, really. I asked the same questions. And I said, what should the West Ham board do about David Moyes? Sack David Moyes now. Decide at the end of the season. Offer Moyes a new contract. Replace him at the end of the season. Nearly 8,000, so 934 people voted over 24 hours. It was viewed by 41,500 people. The offer him a new contract, 4.2%. Some people say that they were Spurs fans, but look, I know some people that owned up to voting, offer him a new contract. The next highest was decide at the end of the season. I'll put my hand up now. I was decide at the end of the season, 15.9, almost 16%. Lift your hand up if where you came, boys. I don't know. The third one, I know that neither of them are yet. Replace him at the end of the season, 18.2%. Wasn't that where you were, Nigel?
Yeah, replace him at the end of the season.
And the biggest, a landslide, 61.7%. Sack David Moyes now. John?
Yep.
Yep, that was you, was it? I don't know actually where you voted.
I voted on that.
Yeah. So look, Twitter, X.
So hold up. So combine the leave at the end of the season and the leave now.
Yeah.
And that's 80-odd%.
It is 80% almost.
Yeah.
Well, it's 79.9 to be precise.
Quite damning, really.
Yeah. 8 out of 10. Want him gone. Yeah, with only, as you say.
So what was you?
20, just between. Where was I?
Yeah.
Decide at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about the board update in a minute, but let's finish the game. I just wanted to talk about that. So, just to finish the game before we got on to Moyes, etc. Do you blame Calvin Phillips? Do you think his sending off changed the game?
No.
I'm asking Nigel on this one.
Oh, sorry.
I asked you.
You're just opening, asking.
It made it harder, yes. Yes.
Yeah, one. But...
Do I think it was a sending off? Not on your life.
Right. So we lost the game, right?
Yeah.
Some ways I didn't expect to win it. I didn't have that feeling. Where I will criticise Moyes is the shit he came out with post-match. If I was in his position, saw the banners, etc., I would have just kept my mouth shut and say, it's a democracy, they're entitled to say what they want to say. I just wouldn't say, I'm not sure I would have said it was a close match and we had good spirit. I would just have probably said the absolute minimum, going, bad day at the office, we've got to do better. I'm just as disappointed as the fans. But no, he can't help himself. What he says is not only was it close and tight and the players played well, and he was disappointed with Calvin Phillips getting sent off, but he then goes on to say he's asked about the entertainment value, and he basically says that entertainment, there is no manager better at winning than him in a West Ham guys. Basically been compared with Sam Allardyce cupping his ear. It's a watershed moment, according to some on social media. But I'd like your two's opinion on that. Is that a watershed moment, cupping the ear, saying you've got a manager, I might not be paraphrasing, I might not be the most entertaining manager with style of football, but you have never had a manager so much that wins. Has he been reading your piece on 6'2", Nigel?
You know, there's a bit of me that thinks, has that been passed around?
Well, it could have done. You know, if it ended up, let's say, in the chairman's inbox somehow, it might have been passed around.
We know it did end up in the chairman's inbox. So, yeah, because it's funny. I thought that because I've seen some of the wordings that have been said even by senior sources, and there's a bit of me to think, you know, I swear one of them said about David Moyes is statistically the best manager we've had, and you're thinking, right, okay, which is, you know, it was, I don't know about the Duckworth-Lewis scoring record, it was like the Khan scoring record, I suppose, isn't it? Way of doing it. His press conferences are getting stupider and stupider.
Yeah.
As it goes, and he's pushing the envelope to the full in what he says. But it's weird because you could break it apart in what he says. So if you listen to the one, I get confused. So it weren't the match of the day one. It must be the general, because he's got the big Nottingham Forest backdrop behind him, not the general Premier League backdrop behind him. So he's sitting in the press conference and he goes on about his winning record and everything else. And he says, when he goes, he said, the club hasn't had it this good. And of course, he is wrong in a way, but he's right in a way. But what he should have said is that in the Premier League era, we've not had it so good. And I think that is the case.
Yeah.
I think that is the case. Historically, though, no, we've had better, Dave.
Yeah, and we won proper cups, Dave.
Well, I think the Champions Conference League is a proper cup. So, but yeah,
it's not the FA Cup, is it?
No, it's not the FA. And this is the thing.
You'd rather have won the FA Cup last season.
Yeah, well, I'd rather win it any season all day long. And
there you go.
And actually, the loving, not the loving. I lost a lot of respect for him after the Liverpool game. To be that close to, you know, a semi-final. Not saying against an easy opponent, but like it would have been Fulham. And you think when you looked at the teams left, us and Liverpool at that time were the top two teams left in the competition. If you know, if we'd have turned up to Liverpool, if we'd have done something properly there, it is baffling me how we can put in performances against Man United at home and then Arsenal away.
It is, but it's got to be some of the players' fault. It can't just be the manager.
No,
could it be a little piece of what's happened at other clubs? You've seen it happen at Chelsea, where they all stopped playing for a manager. You've seen it happen at Tottenham when they had like Conte and things, when they get sick of the same sort of training and the same whatever and the same tactics and
I don't know. I think if they get sick, I don't think the players get sick of it because at
but,
the end of the day,
there's not a bit of it like you would just switch off from it a bit.
Yeah,
And you just get bored
that's-
of it, and you just
Yes.
not intentionally, but you just get sick. You know,
You
we
get stuck
we all
in a
see
rut.
it. We all see it, don't we? He sets up the same way home or away, sets up with the same whoever you're playing against. So everyone knows what. It's just tedious, isn't it, all round?
It's not
And
worked this
maybe
week.
it's-
Okay, same again, lads.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't believe they've down tools. I don't think he's built this team. Yeah, and this is the thing, which is we can go. This is Moyes' team. He's built this team.
Yeah, and his squad and everything.
And if you look at 2020, 2021, a lot of the players that were there weren't brought in by him. So he picked up a team that was underperforming and performed better. What he's done is he's now built a team. He's added to it. And in a way, you could argue that recently, you know, Paquetá, great, fantastic sign, isn't it? Alvarez, great signing. So Mavropanos, Kudus, fantastic signing. You know, Bowen was signed under his watch, so quite how much knowledge he had, because he was only at the club 3 weeks before Bowen joined, or 4 weeks. So quite how much input they've really had in the signing of Bowen, I don't know. But at the end of the day, these are all signed on his watch, and people throw this $500 million stat out to deride him, and you think, well, he has spent $500 million, and if you look at the quality of players he signed recently, he's done well with that. But he has signed 36 players, and that equals out at 16 million a player. That don't buy you a lot.
Yeah. And look, people who compare it to Greenwood and Lyle, you've got to do it of what the market was and what other people.
Yes.
It's really difficult.
Yeah, people. Yeah,
but you
people
can't. That's why it's
fail
hard
to
to
realise
draw.
That's
that.
why it's
Yeah.
difficult to draw.
It's difficult to draw
comparisons, I agree.
comparisons, but then having talked about this is his squad and whatever, for whatever reason, our squad is very thin. Our squad
Yeah,
is
his
imbalanced.
choice, 22
Our squad
players.
is the second oldest in the league. Our squad
Yeah,
is one of the
No, you're
smallest
right.
squad in the league.
and that is true. Our squad is the second oldest in the league, and it's not a thing, yeah. But it did used to be the oldest, so it has dropped.
Right. But you know, it's still on his. It's still, you know, the lack of balance in it, the lack of cover, the lack of, for whatever reasons, it's all down to this management, isn't it? It's all down to his management.
Yeah, well, he's got
And
nowhere.
it's 4
this-
years into
yeah,
it.
He's got nowhere to hide now because it is his team, and this is
Yeah.
the thing that in a way baffles me. You know, where he is right in what he's saying. You know, but
Well,
when
I'll
he
give
sits
you a
in a
little
press
quote
conference,
that you said, because
Go
I'll
on.
give you a few quotes. This is one of the ones he said when he was asked about the banners and did he see them. He said, I'm really disappointed we didn't win today. I'm really disappointed with a couple of results. But you mustn't forget the good results. You mustn't forget the wins. Even this season, we're sitting in a strong position. Last season, we were sitting near the bottom. It was only 3 years ago that we were at Nottingham Forest and fighting relegation. We've moved a long way on from there.
Well, last season we were sitting near the bottom and fighting relegation.
Agreed. He didn't mention that. He was mentioning 3 years ago.
it was funny that he didn't. But when you say the only this is the thing about last season. I think people lose sight of. There were 10 teams fighting relegation. That's how stacked it was. Yeah.
I think last season, definitely for me, last season he lost me, and I think a lot of people got lost on him,
But that is harsh, though. Do you not think that is harsh after finishing
harsh
sixth
after.
and seventh? And I'm not just dragging it up, but when you finish sixth and seventh, you know, only twice in West Ham's history have we ever had 3 top 10 finishes in a row. And frankly, in both of those times, we'd never finished so high 2 years running.
But it is all in sort of taking it all into account, the players that we signed and all this sort of stuff, you know. And we got worse last season, and we did win.
We went
you're right.
backwards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did win the cup,
Yeah.
which was brilliant. But you know, when we were just coming up after Christmas and we had that World Cup and all that coming in, and we were struggling. We were awful, weren't we? He kept playing
Yeah,
Souček, and he kept playing.
Yeah,
we just couldn't buy a win, and you're just like, everyone can say is it harsh or whatever, but teams, managers get sacked when they're not performing. Ranieri got sacked after winning the league.
Yeah.
But they were
Leicester.
fighting. Hold up, but they
were
fighting
fighting
relegation.
But we were last season. We had a relegation battle for a good part of it.
They were fighting relegation with 4 other teams. Yeah, we were fighting relegation with 9 other teams.
Yeah, but I would still have had no qualms of him being sacked for that at that period of time. We had runs of 6 losses or 7 losses, or we had all these. It
We
was
never
terrible.
had 6 losses in a row.
It was terrible.
Can I ask a question to use two?
Go on.
We're doing question time tonight.
I have put a question up.
Oh, yeah.
It's up to people whether they
Okay.
want to partake.
Can I
Can I got a great stat for you?
go
Yeah,
on,
'cause
and then
it's
I'll
gonna-
tell you the board's view
It's
of
going
after
to
the
be an
game.
article, and it is about.
Yeah.
So, John, you'd sack him now, wouldn't you?
I would get rid of him now. Yeah.
Right. So, Sid King was sacked. He was the first manager to be sacked. We were 21st in Division 2, which was relegation in Division 2, which was the championship nowadays. And at the end of that season, we finished 20th. Now, back then, only the bottom 2 went down. And that was the lowest position West Ham had ever finished in their history. So he was sacked. The next manager to be sacked was John Lowell after relegation. The next manager to be sacked was Harry Redknapp. But he got sacked with 1 game left, and West Ham were 14th after fighting relegation.
Didn't Sid King commit suicide within a month of being sacked by West Ham?
Well, after a month of being... he was stood down in October, sacked in the
he
January.
drank alcohol with
hold up,
acid.
Sean. Yeah, I know, because I've read all about it. I can write you an article about
Go
it
on.
one day,
Go
because
on.
I've even got the coroner's reports
Oh, dear, right, okay.
and everything else. And it was possible, not suicide, it was possible an accident.
Okay. Because you do drink acid and alcohol.
Well, no, yeah, but you could mistake it, Sean, because it weren't acid for a start.
All right.
So you don't believe everything you read on the internet.
Yeah. By the way, I want to apologise for what I said last week about Roy. What's his name?
Roy
the-
Hodgson.
Hodgson. Yeah.
Oh, right,
so
yeah.
I obviously didn't know he was going to fall ill after I said he was the next one to die because he was old.
Yeah,
so
well, he nearly was.
apologies.
Well, he's left today anyway.
He has. Yeah.
But we'll cover that. So obviously Roda was sacked after being relegated, Division 2. Pardew was sacked, we were 18th. Zola was sacked, we luckily not to go down, 17th. See, Grant's sacked, relegated. Bilic was sacked, we were 18th.
Yeah.
Pellegrini was sacked, was 17th. So,
Oh, hang on. You haven't mentioned Allardyce, have you?
well, Allardyce's contract wasn't renewed.
Oh, so you leave him off conveniently. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when West Ham's last season under Allardyce, I think we finished 12th or 14th that season.
What's the point you're making?
Well, no West Ham manager's ever been sacked while in the top 10.
Oh, gotcha. So we've got to wait till we're 11th.
Well,
he ain't going to be sacked. Let me give you an update.
Won't be long.
Well, let me give you an update. So, obviously, talking to senior sources after the game, and what they said was they refused to give the manager the vote of confidence. Now, what does that mean? Because that can mean 2 things. A vote of confidence, often the dreaded vote of confidence. If you get the vote of confidence, it means you're about to be sacked. But said, we're not giving the manager the vote of confidence. However, we remain hopeful that he can turn things around before the end of the season. The board were there. They watched the game. They were disappointed and said that recent games are like we're a bottom 3 side in relegation form. And they desperately want things to be turned around.
So that's when we need Len, innit?
Yeah.
I desperately want...
Desperately. And also said a manager can no longer trade on past performance forever, but it does give him some credit in the bank. Now, following that, and I haven't tweeted this out, that the senior source will be answering no more questions or giving a running commentary on the situation
Hallelujah.
of
Does that mean?
David Moyes.
Does that mean you lot all stop asking him as well?
Yes. Yeah. So
Yeah.
he's basically
Yeah.
said, he or she, whoever it is, has basically said, I'm not answering. Well,
Well,
just hang on,
no,
hang
but
on.
my
Now, let me
question
just quote it.
weren't
For the
whether he
next week.
answers.
For
My
the next
question
week.
was, will you lot stop
Well,
asking him?
I only can answer for me. I can't answer for you lot. So I can say I will stop asking because I'm bored of it. He says he won't do a running commentary. That they, as a club, need to look at this. Now, here's the interesting bit. At the end of the day, I really do believe it's going to come down to the end of the season and a vote. There's no hurry. The one I voted for, I think, is the one that will come true. They'll make a decision at the end of the season.
So you genuinely believe, right? If we get knocked out of Europe in the next round,
Yeah,
and we keep sliding down the table, keep losing, and we've
Yeah.
got to get to about 14th.
yeah, I do, John.
They're
And I'll
just
tell you
gonna
why.
leave it.
But
Because
John, I just can't say that when you look at it. Well, I don't. I'm not saying it thing whatever. I don't see us ever falling below 12th. I'll tell you that now.
I don't think there's anyone that's obviously available to do a short-term gig, John.
Yeah,
Right.
you wouldn't need someone, would you?
Well, who would you put in then?
Well, you got Heitinga sat there. He's like,
No. But here's a
No.
thing, Sean. Yeah, and as you covered it, Crystal Palace. Yeah.
Yeah,
I listen. I don't follow the football, whatever. If you'd have turned around and said to me, Nigel, we can get the Eintracht Frankfurt manager who'd done the number on us, would you reckon? I'd be going, yeah, get him in.
yeah.
I didn't know he was available.
I didn't know he
Yeah?
was available.
No, but there you so because I don't follow these things. I'll tell you what though, Crystal Palace have gone and got him, haven't they?
They have, yeah, and
They've got a good manager there.
Yeah, fair enough.
So
you got a
when
point.
and
When
this is
people
why
are
I
saying
don't
there's
really
no
sit
one
there.
available.
I don't sit there and go, well, who do you think? Was there no one available? Because there is people available.
Yeah. Well,
But
that's down to
that's
Steiden,
why-
maybe. I see Steiden's brother joined today, official announcement.
Yeah, well, apparently he's leaving at the end of the summer, Sean.
Well, we'll see. We'll
So
see.
we'll see.
Well,
We'll
I
see.
think
Brother
I'll-
will take over.
I don't read a lot of stuff what what's it Steinberg puts on Twitter, because he puts everything. He doesn't
Jake
leave
the
his.
cream cracker. Yeah.
He doesn't really have his own replies on, does he?
I
So-
complied to him.
So, I mean, but his headline today was that we're going to lose him. He's going to why he's going to go to Liverpool.
Well, I think he's trying to engineer his own move to Liverpool. If I'm honest with you.
But why would he? Why would he bring his brother in if he's?
Well, maybe he'd take his brother as a package. Who knows, John? But look, I said last time there is some frustration with transfers. And look, if Liverpool come knocking, of course they go. Let's be honest. Anyway, just let me finish. The decision will come down to the board. The board will get a vote. Now, David
Well,
Sullivan.
that's it. He was not.
Hang on,
The board has no ambition. The
hang
board
on,
is
hang
happy
on.
with
Let's
where we are.
hear me out.
So let's.
Sullivan has.
I keep
People
going
just
on
think
about it.
whatever. Sullivan has 38.8% of the vote, right? Not enough to make a decision, right? Terry Brown and Daniel Harris have 1.1% between them. No influence, right? So Trip Smith and them really can't influence it. So you've got 25.1% with Vanessa Gold and Dan Cunningham for the Gold family. They haven't sold that 10% yet. And you've got Daniel Kredinsky with 27%. Now,
Maybe everyone
there's
should
going to be a
start giving
story
him some
later
stick.
tonight that Clarence and Hugh are going to run, saying that Kredinsky's not happy. Right? He's not happy with the way things are panning out this season. I assume he means as a manager, but he's not happy. So assuming he votes, and I have heard whispers that he doesn't think Moyes is a good enough manager. Assuming he votes against and Sullivan votes for, the chief cheerleader for David Moyes, I hear, is Karen Brady. Karen Brady has taken over from David Gold. David Gold fought for David Moyes to be brought back the second time, was his biggest cheerleader since David Gold passed away. Karen Brady has been saying to the board, this is a good manager, he gets us, he's made West Ham the most successful they've ever been, wins, blah, 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 right? This, where it comes interesting, if you've got Kredinsky on one side with his 27%, and you've got Sullivan on the other side with 38.8, the 25% currently operated by Vanessa Gold and Dan Cunningham, who's a West Ham fan and the widower of Jacqueline Gold, is a deciding vote. And we don't really know where they stand. Does Vanessa Gold follow her dad's wishes of his legacy that he was a big David Moyes fan? Or does Dan Cunningham, who's on social media, is on Twitter, etc., likes to support the fans and say enough's enough? That's where the real power, I think, happens. It's the gold shares
Well, it's,
and
the whole
which
thing is
way
that
they swing at the end of the season, which
the
will
whole thing is
decide.
the board is the whole issue is the board's doing. All of it is down to the board.
I agree, and they
it's lack of action, lack of ambition, or acceptance of mediocrity. Whatever it is, it's all down to the board.
John, I don't.
Well,
I don't
you've said
get
it before.
when
We
you
said it all
say
before.
Acceptance and mediocrity.
Well, they don't. They're more than happy with the status quo.
Well,
And that's it.
and this is obviously I write a lot of stuff now, and I put stuff out, and people, whatever, seem to think I'm this rabid Moyes in. All I try and put out is a different narrative to the constant noise, and some of it, or a lot of it, that I see is a false narrative from those that are vicious Moyes out people. Yeah, and so that's when I try to bring it back to the middle ground. But when I say Moyes is good for business, and this is the thing, people see football is a business now. I don't support West Ham Business Club. I've always said I support the football club. Yeah, but if you own a football club, then you need the money, don't you, to roll in. Now, the fact that we've had this record income recently, you could say it's been thanks to David Moyes and the fact that he did get a sixth, did get a seventh, and he did win a cup. And he did get back into Europe this season with the extra ticket sales. And the Europa League pays out far more money. We'll earn more money getting to the quarter-final of the Europa League than we will with the Conference League winning.
Yeah, but how much do you lose by dropping down the table?
Hold up. The club finished for a budget of a 10th place finish. So he overachieved finishing 6th. He overachieved finishing 7th. Let's see where we finish
What
this
happened last season then? What did he achieve?
Yeah,
he made an extra $3 million from the cup.
But you can pay off the money that he's earned before. So
what do you mean an extra $3 million?
I thought we only made a £3 million profit for winning the Europa
I think
Conference.
we made about 15-18 million.
We earned 20 million from the prize money, and then if you look at the ticket money on top of that, it works out about 35 million, John.
I thought it was a lot less than that compared to the Europa. What's the Europa offering then?
We earn a lot more from Europa.
We earn like 50 million from the Europa.
No, it's about 45 million. So we earned about 10 million from Europa of getting into the semi-final. But a lot of that was ticket money. So we've earned so far, for winning the whole thing last time, it worked out about 35 million.
But then you got the shirt sales for the worst shirt in the world.
Yeah.
They were pumping them out.
Yeah, but if you look at retail, it didn't really increase. So, no, we haven't seen retail.
That's what I'm saying. So this is the thing. So when you look at it, David Moyes has been good for business.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I'm saying. They're happy with that.
When you're the owner of the football club, and bearing in mind, David Moyes could sit there and go, the reason you could afford Kudos, the reason you could afford Alvarez is because I got you into these positions. Yeah.
But this whole what's going on now is all of their doing, because if that's how they genuinely feel, which is their right to, because we can all see it's good for business. They should have given him a new contract at the end of last season.
Oh no, I totally
this doubt of his contract running out is a big part of either back him or sack him.
Yeah,
and that's the truth of it. It's their inability to decide, their lack of action, is causing.
Yeah, I think they should have given him a new contract, another 2 years.
Yeah, and
after the cup win, because if you let's get it right. Only 4 managers now, and one of them's the War Cup, yeah? No, I'm being generous. have ever won a trophy out of 17. That's got to stand for something. If a geezer can't be given a new contract for winning a proper trophy.
Yeah,
Then-
fair enough. Anyway, so that's it for the first episode. Episode 35. We're going to be talking in episode 36, the next one, question time, which will be available very soon. So it's goodbye from me. It's goodbye from John.
Goodbye.
And goodbye from Nigel.
I'm in my shed.
Bobby Moore. More than just a podcast. Bobby Moore. More than just a podcast.
And Harry, I think that's what West Ham fans are suggesting they want to see at the moment. They want to see their side play more expansive football. I mean, David Moyes has stood up for himself and said, look, these are good times for West Ham fans. But when you were at West Ham, was the demand always for them to play attractive football? Was that more important almost than the results?
Yeah, I think, the reputation, Jeff, it's a reputation that came from way, way back, the Academy of Football. That was because Ron Greenwood, who was West Ham's greatest ever manager, he was 20 odd years, Ron, and they brought through players from the Academy like Bobby Moore, Jeff Hurst, Martin Peters, Trevor Brooking was a youth player, Frank Lampard, all these people came through the youth team. And they produced a style of play. Ron was a fantastic football coach, and they played attacking, open football. And that's when it was called the Academy. I mean, them days are long, long gone. I mean, you haven't got them players anymore. That was when West Ham, they were a special team. They won the cup in 64, the Cup Winners' Cup in 65. But you haven't got that now. You can only play with what you've got. And David's got a squad of players, that are decent players that really should be finishing, I would say, certainly in the top 7 or 8. And that's what they do. And they've won a cup last year. So I don't know what more he's supposed to do. He can't suddenly come out and make them play like Man City. They haven't got the players. So David's not a fool. He knows, he's getting the best out of what he's got. It's not easy on the eye for a lot of the fans. It's not what they want to see. They want to see more attacking football. But I don't know if you will see that. It's not David's way of playing, and they haven't got the players to open up that much anyway.
Harry, do you sometimes think back and think, well, I'm sort of glad now that I'm not being a manager, because you're scrutinised so much, game in, game out. We can be, praising Tottenham last week or West Ham, and then the week after it's the complete opposite. Do you sometimes think, well, I'm glad I'm not part of that merry-go-round?
Sometimes I do, Tom. I think Graham Taylor many years ago said your manager is never as good as you think he is, and he's never as bad as you think he is. He's somewhere in between. And I do think the game, we get carried away. A manager comes in, he's a genius, he's doing, and then he has a few bad results and he don't know what he's doing, he's useless. That's the way the game's gone, unfortunately. Everybody lose 3 or 4 games and you're under pressure. It's a great, win a few games and you're a genius. It's crazy.
Yeah, and Harry, I mean, you've heard it plenty of times. It's a case of careful what you wish for, isn't it? And whenever you say that,
Absolutely.
Everybody talks about, what Charlton did with Alan Kirbishley. You just got to be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. David's he's done a good job. They'll finish in the top 7 or 8 again. They're still in the European competition at West Ham. And as I say, they haven't really got the players to play they've got 1 or 2 outstanding talented players in. I love Bowen. He could play in any team for me in England, They've got some good players for sure, but they're not going to play the football that people dream about. There was not many of us left who saw that football, but that was a long while ago when West Ham played like that. And then under John Lyle as well, they had a great attacking team with Devonshire, Cotty, McAvenny, Billy Bonds. It was a fantastic team. Frank Lampard again. They played great football, open, attacking, attractive football. But he hasn't got the players to play that way. David sets his teams up to try to win football matches. And you won't change him. That's what he does, and he's done very well at doing that.
Harry, brilliant. Thanks
Cheers,
for joining
Harry.
us, mate. Have a good day.
And you guys, great talking to you.
Cheers, Harry. 03717223344. Tony and I have been going to war with West Ham fans this morning. We're taking your calls. Let's squeeze in a quick one. Dave is a West Ham fan. Morning, Dave.
Hi, Dave.
Morning, boys. Morning, boys. How you doing?
Yeah, good. So, what do you think? Are you in the Moyes camp or the Moyes out camp?
Oh, thank goodness you had Harry Redknapp on to speak some sense finally this morning. I do get football fans. We're fickle. You can't spit and lick. You can't have your cake and eat it. David Moyes has done more for this club than what's happened in a million years. Win a trophy. The only other club to win a trophy were Man City last year, and they won the treble, right? Then we lose Declan Rice, and then we're quibbling of going from 6th to 9th. Come on, boys. We've got to be. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
I think you use the words, as fans, you can be fickle. You know, you want so much, and loyalty seems to be a real faraway place for a lot of people in football, doesn't it?
Well, it's just so fast-paced. We want everything. If Dave Moyes had changed up, right, we did what we did last year, survived relegation, won a trophy, then he starts playing out from the back, trying to play like Pep, and we start losing, they'll go, why are you messing with something that works so well? It's just always going to be based on win-lose column. We know that's sport, but the fact that he loses a couple of games against Arsenal, who are on fire at the moment, Nottingham Forest, who are fighting for their lives, we've played badly, and suddenly we're saying get Moyes out. So then we'll go round and round like we have done for the last 20 years, manager after manager, changing the setup, changing the game plan, losing, winning, and it'll just be an absolute mess.
Dave,
calm down, West Ham.
Yeah,
we're going to be all right.
You know the mood down there. Look, the draw hasn't even been made yet, but could David Moyes afford a defeat in the next round of the Europa League?
Well, it's going to be a tough time. You're always a couple of games away from being under pressure, but I don't see what the other options are, who we think that we're going to entertain that's going to be able to take this group of players. Like Harry said, your personnel affects how you play your football. And if we don't have the personnel to play like Man City, we need someone who can get the best out of the players. The players have got to step up.
Dave, brilliant. Thanks for taking the time to call us this morning. Appreciate it, mate. I got a great text from Chris, the Liverpool fan, because we were talking about Spurs at the start of the conversation with Harry Redknapp. He says, morning, boys. I said this at the very start when Tottenham gave Postecoglou the job. He'll never be good enough at the top level. He's football's version of Eddie Jones. He came in with a lot of bluster.
Oh,
I think that will get a lot of Spurs fans backed up. That is for sure, Chris.
By the way, Jeff, as well, you know, we talk about West Ham and their style and performance. Gerard Bowen's got 11 Premier League goals. You know, that says a lot about, you know, that they are trying to, and without having a centre forward.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Without having a centre forward, Mikel Antonio's been injured recently. I think I said to you, they've actually scored more goals. Only one more goal than Manchester United this season. Coming up, has there ever been a more surprising interaction at a football game than Mick Harford and Harry Styles at Luton yesterday? We'll ask Tony that question next.
So